All right, I will say good morning. Let's begin. Let us begin. Okay, so we are going to pick up in Meretz Hashem. Today's daf is Lamed Hey, and we are picking up on Lamed Hey, 35a. So we're picking up with Rabbi Yochanan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down from the top. With Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka, Nami nehavu piri v'rivya umor shnei ksuvin abayin keachad ve'imala. Remember, going back a little bit, our discussion from yesterday is all about how we understand or how we know women's exemption from mitzvos aseh shazman grama and women's obligation in mitzvos aseh shelo hazman grama. So we're trying to learn today about the obligation, again, for non-time-bound commandments and the exemption for time-bound commandments. So the Gemara says like this, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka, why don't we say that Peri V'Rivya, remember, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka, women are obligated in procreation. So why don't we say that Peri V'Rivya and Mora and reverence of parents are Shnei Ksuvin Abayin Ke'echad. So remember, what are the means of Shnei Ksuvin Abayin Ke'echad? According to Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka, these are both examples of non-time-bound commandments which women are obligated. So now remember, why don't you say, it's two psukim teaching me the same concept? If that's the case, in malamdin. Now, both say, what does in malamdin mean? In this context, in malamdin will mean that you can't derive a principle, namely, that you can't say that women are obligated in non-time-bound mitzvos. And reality, maybe the halacha is that women are in fact exempt from mitzvos aseh she'ein hazman grama. To which the Gemara says, no, and I'll tell you why. Tzrichi, because each of these limudim, each of these ideas are necessary. How so? Di kasev rachmana mora, v'lo kasev peri v'rivya. Because if the Torah would have just spoken about mora, reverence of parents, and told us that a woman is obligated in that, and did not write peri v'rivya, did not tell me that a woman is obligated in procreation, so the Gemara says, Havamina, I would have thought the kivshua amarachmana. I would have thought the pasuk says Peru urevuas haaretz v'kivshua, literally populate the land, procreate the land, v'kivshua, and subdue it. Ish darko lichbosh in, isha dein darko lechabish lo. I would have thought that a man, Rabbi said lashon of kivshua is like a lashon of war, like a lashon of conquering. I would have thought that it's only a man who is really involved in kivshuha. Therefore, again, it's only a man who's obligated in peri v'rivya. But a woman who's not involved in kivshuha ultimately is not obligated in peri v'rivya. Therefore, again, the Torah has to remember this is going to be Yochanan ben Beroka. We don't paskin this way. We paskin that a woman is not chayeves in peri v'rivya. A woman is not obligated in procreation. A man ultimately is. Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka is of the opinion that a woman is in fact obligated. So the Gemara just pointed out, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka, the Torah had to state this. Why? Because had the Torah not told me that woman is chayeves in peri v'rivya, I would have assumed she's not. Because the Torah links the obligation of procreation to the obligation to quote-unquote subdue the world. I would have thought that's a male obligation, not a female obligation. Therefore, the Maisa, a woman's not obligated also in peri v'rivya. Therefore, the Torah has to write it. Furthermore, v'kas of peri v'rivya, l'kas of mora, had the Torah just said that a woman is obligated in procreation, but not obligated in reverence of parents, hava amina ish, I would have thought that it's only a man who's obligated to revere his parents. Why? The sipik biyado lasos, because he has the ability and wherewithal to do so. In Isha, he's obligated. Isha, the ain sipik biyado lasos, lo. But a woman who doesn't have the means. Also, this is referring to a married woman who has other familial responsibilities that perhaps she's not chayeves in mora in reverence of her parents. The chayva the ain sipik biyado lasos, lo tis chayiv klal. And since she does not have the ability, the wherewithal, the time, the resources to be able to revere her parents, perhaps she's exempt. Therefore, again, tzricha. Therefore, I will say you see why, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka, both Peri v'Rivya and Mora both had to be written as obligations for a woman, because if one was not written, you would not have been able to learn out from the other. Both say because they are both necessary, therefore what? Just follow this train of thought for a moment. Because they are both necessary, you can't say that they're shnei ksuvin habayin ke'echad. The concept of shnei ksuvin habayin ke'echad means when the Torah is redundant, teaches me the same concept twice. So Torah teaches me the same concept twice. The conventional wisdom is that therefore if it's teaching me twice, it means that the principle being espoused applies to the two stated cases, but cannot be used to create a paradigm. To which the Gemara, remember what the Gemara was suggesting is, why don't you say that Mora, reverence of parents, and Perivarivya, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka, are Shnei Ksuvin Abayin Ke'echad. Two concepts that are espousing the same principle, namely that women are obligated in non-time bound mitzvos. So we'll say if it's stating it twice, it means that what? That it's ein malamdin, which means women are not obligated in time-bound mitzvos. To which the Gemara says, no, each of these mitzvos, each of these obligations was necessary to be stated because neither could have been learned out from the other. Because they both needed to be stated, therefore you can't apply the principle of shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad ein malamdin. To which the Gemara says, shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad ein malamdin. So that makes sense according to the So now the Gemara says, by the way, there's a fundamental dispute about this principle. So this makes sense according to the opinion who says that two psukim, that quote, that two psukim, well, shnei ksuvim, two mitzvos that quote the same principle cannot be used to create a paradigm. According to Mandam, who says that they can be used to create a paradigm, we should actually be able to create a paradigm that's what? That women are exempt from mitzvos, that women are exempt from non-time-bound mitzvos, to which the Gemara says, again, obviously, that's a problematic paradigm for us, but we could create a paradigm like that. Amarava papunoi yadi la taima dahamilsa. So Rava said the papunoians, they know the reason for this halacha. But said papunoi yadi, Rashi says, tamidim shebe papuna. So papuna was a place. So Talmida Papuna, and Rashi says Manu Rav Achar Bar Yaakov Shaydaba Papuna. So this is a reference to Rav Achar Bar Yaakov. Rav Achar Bar Yaakov could go ahead and answer this question. Why? The Gemara says Amar Rav Papuna Yodai Leitaima Dahamil. So Mana Rav Achar Bar Yaakov Amakra. What does the pasuk say? V'haya lechos al yadcha. The pasuk says that ultimately tefillin, referring to tefillin. Tefillin will be an oath, will be a sign on your hand. Ulezikaron beinenecha, and a remembrance between your eyes. Leman tihiyeh Toras Hashem beticha, in order that the Torah of Hashem will be in your mouth. So the Gemara says like this: Huksha. This is Rav Achar Bar Yaakov. Huksha kala Torah kula letefillin. So what do you see from here? The entire Torah is compared to tefillin. I will say now, where do you get that from? Because again, remember, the pasuk says, "Vayadacha la'os al yadcha ulezikaron beinenecha leman tiyeh Toras Hashem beficha." So the Torah equates the mitzvah of tefillin to the entire Torah. So says Rav Achar Bar Yaakov, what do we learn from this? So huksha kala Torah kula tefillin, ma tefillin mitzvah saseh shazman grama v'nashim peturos. So we'll say, what does the comparison teach me? That just as tefillin is a time-bound mitzvah, and women are exempt, af kol mitzvos aseh shazman grama nashim peturos, so too women are exempt from all time-bound mitzvahs. So Rav Achar Bar Yaakov understands, why does the Torah go out of its way to compare tefillin to Kol Torah Kula? Rav Achar Bar Yaakov says because it's to create a paradigm, a paradigm for women. The paradigm for women is just as a woman is exempt from tefillin because it is a mitzvahs aseh shazman grama, so too again a woman will be exempt from all mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. Remember, this requires the limud we had yesterday of how we know that a woman is exempt from tefillin to begin with. But assuming you understand that to be a truth, therefore, Lamaisa, you take it to the next level. The next level is the Torah itself compares tefillin to Kol Torah Kula. What's the nature of that comparison? Just as a woman is exempt from tefillin, so too she'll be exempt from all mitzvos aseh shazman grama throughout the Torah. Now, from the fact that you're going to tell me that a woman is exempt from a time-bound mitzvah, Michlal the mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama nashim chayavos. We'll say, what could I infer from there? If a woman is going to be exempt from a time-bound mitzvah, I could infer from that what? That a woman will be obligated in a non-time-bound mitzvah. Sahani chalamanda amar mitzvahs aseh tefillin mitzvah shazman grama. We'll say, now remember, this whole limud. So again, let's just point out over here. So far, we have two different limudim right now. Here's the interesting part, is that everyone is agreeing in the principle, which is that women are exempt from time-bound mitzvos and are obligated in non-time-bound mitzvos. Everyone's agreeing in the principle. The machlokes is where you learn it from. So far the first approach has been, we also learn it from tefillin. But why? But because tefillin is compared to Talmud Torah, to learning, in Shema. First paragraph and second paragraph. And since by Talmud Torah it says, we learn that there's not an obligation for Talmud Torah upon women. So tefillin is compared to Talmud Torah Women are exempt from Talmud Torah as well. The next step of the drush is a mamatzinu, meaning, so what's unique about tefillin? Why are women exempt? And the answer is, it's time-bound. Therefore, we learn out that what? That women are exempt from all time-bound mitzvahs. Rav Achar Bar Yaakov takes it a little bit differently. Rav Achar Bar Yaakov takes it from, right. Rav Achar Bar Yaakov takes it from, and he says, Torah compares tefillin to kol Torah kula. What's the logic there? Just as a woman is exempt from tefillin because it's a mitzvah saseh shazman grama, so too she's exempt from all other mitzvahs saseh shazman grama throughout the Torah. Then take that one step further, and from the fact that a woman is exempt from all mitzvahs saseh shazman grama in the Torah teaches me that what? That a woman is obligated in all mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama. Therefore, in all non-time-bound mitzvahs, a woman will in fact be obligated. So the Gemara says that works fine. All of this is predicated on what? Believing that tefillin is a mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. So this whole drasha works well if you hold that tefillin is a mitzvah shazman grama. Elul mandamar tefillin mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama ma'ika lemeimar. I will say, if you hold that tefillin is not a mitzvahs aseh shazman grama, so what do you say in that situation? So remember, we saw this yesterday, that this is a fundamental dispute in Masechah Shabbos about whether or not tefillin is a time mitzvah. So remember again, Rashi in yesterday's daf said, Rashi seemed to make it clear that everyone agrees that tefillin is time bound. The only machlokes is what? What the nature of the time-bound, what the time-bound nature is. Is it that you're exempt from tefillin at night, only obligated by day, or is it that you're obligated by tefillin day and night, but exempt on Shabbos and Yomim Tovim? There is, however, a third opinion. And the third opinion is, you are chayiv on tefillin on Shabbos and Yom Tov, and chayiv on tefillin by night as well. So there is that opinion. So the Gemara says, so remember, we are now basing an entire halachic construct on a mitzvah of tefillin being a mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. What do you do according to the opinion who says that tefillin is a mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama? Because remember, again, according to both of the opinions, we saw the entire paradigm of women's exemption from mitzvah shazman grama comes from tefillin. So what happens if you hold that tefillin is mitzvah shelo hazman grama? What do you do then? Ma'ikal lemeimar, to which the Gemara says, man shamas leidamer tefillin mitzvah shelo hazman grama. But say, who is the opinion who holds that tefillin is a mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama? That's Rabbi Meir. Rabbi v'savarla shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad v'kol shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad ein malamnin. So I will say it's okay because Rabbi Meir is of the opinion that what? That whenever you have shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad, you do not go ahead and malamdin. So we'll say, so what does that mean? What does that mean for our purposes over here? Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. It's almost right across. Man umishani man shamasei haisvar Rabbi Meir be'eruvin uledidelo itzriche kesha eleke digamrinon bereisha min binyan av the government re'iyah dahavi mitzas aseh shazman grama v'nashim peturos v'dikash le'el v'nelef mimatza v'hakel l'chiyuva Rabbi Meir savar shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad in malamnin. So we'll say, remember again, Rabbi Meir learned. So according to Rabbi Meir, watch this. According to Rabbi Meir, who holds that tefillin is a mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama. In which case, again, where does he learn out a woman's exemption from mitzvahs aseh shazman grama? So ultimately, he learns it out from re'iyah, from the obligation to ascend to Yerushalayim on the regalim. And just like a woman is exempt from re'iyah, so too a woman is exempt from all mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. What about the fact that a woman is obligated in matzah, other mitzvahs shazman grama, to which Rabbi Meir will say that shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad, and shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad in malamdin. Fine. Or Rabbi Huda da Amar shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad malamdin. So according to Rabbi Huda says that you can learn out a paradigm from apparently two redundant psukim. So what is there to say tefillin mitzvah saseh shelo hazman grama? Tefillin mitzvah shelo hazman grama. My amarle. So let's listen to this. So now here's like the perfect storm. According to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that first of all, when the Torah restates two things, you can in fact still develop a paradigm, and he holds that tefillin is a mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama. So where does he learn out a woman's exemption from mitzvahs hazman grama? Mishum dahavi matzah simcha v'hakel shlosha ksuvin abayin ke'echad. Because that's according to Rabbi Yehuda, he will say that matzah, remember matzah, a woman is obligated in matzah, even though it's a mitzvah shazman grama. Simcha V'samachta b'chageach, a woman is obligated in simcha, even though it's a Misei Shazman Grama. And hakel, the obligation to assemble in the Beis Hamikdash on the Sukkos after Shemitah, woman is obligated, and it's also a Misei Shazman Grama. So Rabbi Yehuda will say that Shlosha Ksuvin Abayin Ke'echad, when the Torah restates the same principle 3 times, what does that tell me? Ein Malamdin. So we'll say these are 3 examples of what? Of time-bound mitzvahs where a woman is obligated, and we paskin, or Rabbi Yehuda paskins, Shlosha Ksuvin Abayin Ke'echad Ein Malamdin, which means what? They can't serve as a paradigm. Why? Because even though in these 3 situations, these are time-bound mitzvahs which a woman is obligated, the paradigm is the opposite. And the paradigm is, when it comes to time-bound mitzvahs, a woman is chayeves, a woman is obligated. So Rabbi say, so bottom line, halacha l'maisa, we paskin that a woman is exempt from mitzvos asay shazman grama. It appears that the majority of the Gemara sides with the first limud. And the first limud was the Torah juxtaposes the mitzvah of tefillin to the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, and therefore we say that just as a woman is exempt from Talmud Torah, how do we know that? Because you shall teach your sons, and again the Gemara dashes a woman is exempt from Talmud Torah, so as a woman is, therefore a woman is exempt from tefillin. What's unique about tefillin? So again the Gemara says that it is a mitzvahs asay shazman grama, a time-bound mitzvah, and therefore we learn from there that what? That a woman is exempt from all time-bound mitzvos. By extension, that limud teaches me that a woman will be obligated in all other non-time-bound mitzvos. With, of course, the caveat on both ends that we have found that there are certain unique time-bound mitzvos that a woman will be obligated in for a variety of different reasons, and there will be certain non-time-bound mitzvos which a woman will be exempt from as well. So says the Gemara, "V'chol mitzvos lo saseh." So remember the next thing the Mishnah said is a woman is obligated in all mitzvos lo saseh. In other words, that when it comes to prohibitions, a woman is obligated in all prohibitions. So how do we know this? Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Rav, the pasuk says, Ish o isha, ki ya'asu mikol chatosa adam. So the pasuk says, if a man or woman will commit any of the sins of a person, the malmal b'Hashem, v'ashma hanefesh b'hi. So we'll say, by karbanos. By karbanos. If a man or woman commits an avera, they're both chayavos in karban. So what do you see from there? You see from there that l'maisa, again, a woman is subject to all prohibitions. So the Gemara says, Hishva hakasav ish li isha l'chol onshim shabatorah. The Torah goes ahead and equates men and women for all punishments. Rashi says l'chol onshin, the lav and onshin, malchus hein. So again, this is true whether again the obligation is, well, let's assume for a moment the violation of a lav, malchus. So you see from here that a woman will get lashes just like a man gets lashes. Debei Rabbi Eliezer Tana, Debei Rabbi Eliezer Tana, Amarkra, the pasuk says. So we'll say another source. Asher tasim lifneihem. These are the mishpatim. These are the laws that you shall place before them. Hish v'hakasav isha leish l'chol dinim shebetorah. Torah comes to equate a man and a woman for all halacha. So we'll say the mishpatim apply equally to man and to women. To man and to women. Fine. So weiter. Chizkiah, Tanakra, Chizkiah says, the pasuk says, Vehemis ish o isha. The pasuk says that again, this is actually talking about a situation where a person's ox kills other people. So the idea, the pasuk says, Vehemis ish o isha. So if the ox kills a man or a woman, so you see from what? Hishva kosov ish li isha l'chol miso shabatorah. The Torah equates a man and woman for all matters of misa. So we'll say, everybody's saying the same thing, just bringing it from different sources. So Rabbi Yehuda, again, the name of Rav, bringing it from Isha Kiyasu Mikol Chatosa Adam, that again, Onshim, Onesh, Malchus, men and women are both obligated in Malchus. Rabbi Eliezer, Ela Mishpatim Asher Tasim Lifneihem. These are the Mishpat you'll place before them. Again, Dinim, and Chizkiah, Misa. So says the Gemara, Tzricha, I need all 3 sources. Why? Diashma Inarhach Kamaisa, Mishum Kapara, Chas Rachmana Allah. So I would have thought in the first case, the reason why in that case a Torah obligates women is because of kapara, because of atonement. So a woman should be entitled to atonement in the same way that her male counterpart is. So the Gemara says, about dinin, ema ishte bar masa umatan in, isha lo. When it comes to, we'll say, to dinin mishpatim, which are monetary law, maybe monetary law only applies to man, because again, reflecting the Talmudic norm, he was the one who would have been engaged in business dealings, but a woman would not have been. Therefore, maybe she's not subject to dinin. Or maybe you'll say, on the other hand, maybe you'll say, look at Rashi, chiyusihi, di ilesa bichlal dinin, ein lachayim, akol gozdin osav, he gozeles esacher, vakol bedilin hemena. So we'll say, on the other hand, I would have thought maybe she's obligated in dinim, right, monetary law. Why? Because otherwise, if you're not engaged in if you're not subject to monetary law, then everything is hefker. People could steal from you and you have no recourse. You can steal from people and they have no recourse against you. However, again, tichiyusi, therefore it's necessary for her to sustain herself. Aval kofer, but I will say when it comes to kofer, Rashi says over here, "Behemis isha the mishtay gabi kofer the shram wood sharagas adam." But also when it comes to kofer, namely again, if an ox gores her, maybe there is no monetary payment under those circumstances. Ema amud beis, ema ish the bar mitzvahs in isha lo. Maybe kofer only applies to a man who's a bar mitzvos, but ultimately woman not. Or maybe you'll say lamaisa again when it comes to kofer, you have to pay it if a shark kills a woman. Why? Because there's a loss of life. Chas rachmana Allah. Maybe a woman shouldn't be subject to laws of karbanos, the laws of dinin. Therefore, it's tzricha. So I'll say, therefore, Allah lamaisa, all three drushes are necessary to teach me that a woman is subject in all prohibitory laws. Whether that's again karbanos, whether it's financial law, or whether again it's financial restitution in the case of death, a woman will be subject to all of these halachas. Chutz mi bal takif bal tashchis. So we'll say the Mishnah said that although a woman is obligated in all non-time bound mitzvos, there are two exceptions. The two exceptions are bal takif, rounding out the corners of the head payas, bal tashchis, destroying the corners of the beard, and the Mishnah also added in bal tatamel mesim, that if she's the daughter of a Kohen, she is permitted to come in contact with the dead. So it says the Gemara, Bishlam about the time of the Mesim. So I understand why, if she's a Bas Kohen, or for that matter, if she's married to a Kohen, either way, that she's not subject to the prohibition of coming in contact with the dead. Dichsiv, Emor el Kohanim b'nei Aaron. Because the Pasuk says, say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, l'nefesh lo yitama, do not become defiled to the dead. B'nei Aaron, v'lo b'nos Aaron. Pasuk is quite explicit. The obligation here is to the sons of Aaron, not to the daughters of Aaron. Ella bal takif bal tashchis minalan. But how do I know that a woman is not subject to the laws of rounding out the corners of her head or destroying the corners of her beard? Dichsiv, because the pasuk says, lo sakifu pa'as roshchem, v'lo sashchis es pa'as zikanecha. Because the pasuk says, do not round out the corners of your head, nor shall you destroy the corners of your beard. Therefore, what do we learn? Kol sheyeshna ba'ashchasa, yeshna ba'akafa. Whoever is subject to the prohibition to destroy the corners of the beard is subject to the prohibition of rounding out the corners of their head. V'hani nashi, women, but ho'il v'lo isnu ba'ashchasa, since they are not subject to the laws of destroying the beard, lesnu ba'hakafa, they are not subject to the laws of rounding out the corners of the head, destroying the payas. Asks the Gemara, minalan v'lo isnu ba'ashchasa, how do you know that a woman is not subject to the laws of destroying the corners of her beard? Well, the Gemara says, Ibaisema svarahi. Lo islahu zakan. So we'll say. So the Gemara says, well, the first answer is because we hope she doesn't have a beard, right? Meaning the idea over here is the svara is that she doesn't have a beard, and therefore if she doesn't have a beard, of course she's not subject to the laws ultimately again of hashchasa. The by saying the other possibility is kra. I will say now, what the Gemara entertains the possibility is that it is possible for a woman to have facial hair, and therefore lemaisa again we need another answer as well. Meaning the svara is the svara that a woman is not subject to hashchasa because at the end she doesn't have facial. But lemaisa, what if she does? So the Ibaisema kra. The other possibility is that it's a pasuk. The Amar kra, the pasuk says lo sakifo paas roshchem velo sashchis es paas zikanecha. The pasuk says, do not round out the corners of your head and do not destroy the corners of your beard. Now, the Gemara picks up as the following: the shani krabe dibure. They will say, if you notice again, the Torah switches the verbiage. In the beginning, the Torah says that do not round out the corners of your head, and then it says do not destroy the corner of your beard. Why doesn't it use the same lashon for both? Either don't round out both or don't destroy both. Why does it say don't round out the corners of your area, don't destroy the corners of your beard? So the fact that the Torah changes the lashon, the imke, some of the shani krab dibure, the imke nichtav rachmana paas zikanchem. Now, also what the Gemara is also pointing out, the pasuk says lo sakifu paas roshchem. do not round out the corners of your heads, plural. V'lo sakif v'lo sashchis pa'az zikanecha. Do not destroy the corners of your beard, singular. So heads, plural, beard, singular. Why that change? My zikanecha, zikancha v'lo zikanishtecha. To teach me that what? The prohibition applies to my beard and not to the beard of my wife. As well say, so the Maisa again, this is good for tonight. You can use it at the Shabbos table. Right? So the idea over here is the prohibition of both sides. So the fact that we go from the plural to the singular says that again, Lamaisa Pa'as Zikanach, it's only my beard that is subject to the prohibition of destroying not my wife's. So the Gemara says, V'lo. Is that true? Is that true, Bosai? Now understand, of course, when we speak about the destroying of the beard, we'll define exactly what that means. But is that true that if a woman has a beard, that it is not subject to the laws of destroying it, which we know means shaving with a razor? Is that true that it's not subject to those laws? Below, Vatanya, Zokin, Isha, Vahasaris. We'll say if you have an old person, a woman, a saris, we'll say saris is someone who is castrated. So, although saris could also be someone who just fails to physically mature. So the Gemara says, so these three people, Shehe'alu Seyar, that ultimately sprouted facial hair, Harihin Kizakin L'chol Divrayim. Their facial hair is considered to be like a beard for all purposes. So I'll say, so what does that mean for all purposes? My lav lahashchasa, does that not mean for destructive purposes? And as well say, does that not mean at the end of the day that if one of these people cuts their beard with a razor, that lamaisa again they will be in violation of biblical law? So you see from here that's what? You see from here that lamaisa again a woman's beard is subject to laws of ashchasa. Amrabaye la ashchasa lo matzis amrit. The yalef pa'as me b'nei Aram. So Abaye says no. It can't be for ashchasa because remember we learn out the gzer shava of pa'as from the sons of Aaron. Just like I will say, by the sons of Aaron, we've established that what? That women are exempt from everything to do with the kahuna, and therefore I will say, just like they're exempt from the obligation to stay away from corpses, so too they're exempt from the prohibition to destroy the beard. Now we'll say, if you want to say, this is predicated on the idea that when the Torah speaks about Bnei Aaron, right? Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, Emor al Kohen Bnei Aaron, that Bnei Aaron applies to everything in that section. I remember that immediate pasuk speaks about that not coming in contact with a corpse. So we already know that therefore that prohibition only applies to Bnei Aaron, not Benos Aaron. What the Gemara now is suggesting is that phrase Bnei Aaron goes on the entire section. What else is mentioned in that section? That Kohanim may not go ahead and destroy their beard. So therefore we're suggesting now that Bnei Aaron also goes on that to teach me that it's Bnei Aaron, not Benos Aaron, teaching me that a woman is exempt from Ashchasa. If that's the case, the Chikaz of Bnei Aaron HaKolei Inyan HaKsiv, Nishtok Kra Minei, V'teisei V'kavach Omer. Then if that's the case, the pasuk need not restate anything explicitly. And we clear out from a Kavach Omer. What's the Kavach Omer? I'm sorry. I would have said, Uma Kohanim, Sheriba Bahamakasu Mitzvos Yiseros. When it comes to Kohanim who have many additional obligations, B'nei Aaron V'lo B'nos Aaron. So the halacha is that the prohibitions of the kahuna only apply to Bnei Aaron, not Benos Aaron. So Yisrael kol shekain. Then so they're both say the halacha should be by Yisrael as well. Namely, what? That whatever prohibitions apply to a Yisrael only apply to Bnei Yisrael and not Benos Yisrael. To which the Gemara says, Ilav gezer shava hava amina hifsika inyan. No, because that the gezer shava, I would have assumed both say that's what. Hifsika inyan. Hifsika inyan means that lamaisa, look at Rashi, hifsika inyan, v'lo katani b'nei Aaron ela atuma lochud, sheish hefsik bein saim kigon lo yitama. I would have thought that, I will say, without the Gzer Shava, I would have thought that Lamaisa, again, Bnei Aaron only goes on Tumas Mesim, but does not go on the rest of the section. So the Gemara says, Hashda Nami Nema Hefsika Inyan. So too, let's see over here, that Bnei Aaron only applies, that exclusion only applies to Tuma, but not to the other items mentioned in the section. V'imrishum Gzer Shava, and if you want to say it's Gzer Shava, you need the Gzer Shava for something else. What do you need the Gzer Shava for? Lo Yigalechu. The pasuk says, The pasuk says, "Lo yikirchu karcha berasham, ubhas sekaran lo yigalechu b'som lo yisritu sarates." So the pasuk says again, they shall not go ahead and make a bald spot in their head. They shall not shave off their beards, and in their flesh they shall not make any kind of gash or scratch. So the Gemara says, "Yochol gilchu b'misparani yuchayuv." I would have thought that if a kohen goes ahead and what cuts off his beard with scissors, that he would be chayiv. Tambalomar is lo sashchis. Therefore, the pasuk says, you may not destroy your beard. Yochol lokto b'malaki to b'ritani yechayiv. I would have thought the pasuk is actually, if a person, let's say, shaves off his beard with a plane, which must be very painful, shaves off his beard with a plane, I might have thought that he'd be chayiv. Tambalomar lo yigalechu. Therefore, the pasuk says you shall not shave. So, what do you see from here? Ha ketzad. You need giluach sheyesh ba'ashchasa. In order to be in violation for destroying the beard, what do you need about? So you need a normative form of shaving, but a type of shaving that what? That destroys the beard. What's the type of shaving that destroys the beard? Have omer zetar. This is a razor. This is a razor, a straight edge. Imke, so we'll say, by the way, that's the halacha l'maisa. So that's why, again, a person is permitted to shave, although there are differences in opinion in halacha as well. Some will say that even an electric razor is in and of itself a form of hashchas, a form of destroying the beard, and therefore would be asr. So again, there are many who do not pass in that way, but certainly, again, shaving with a razor will be halachically problematic, ultimately, again, because hashchasa. That's the type of shaving that has destruction as well, and therefore will be asr. Imkain, nichtov, kra, es shebizakancha, my paas zikanecha. If that's the case, then why doesn't the pasuk say shebizakancha? Why does it say paas zikanecha? Shmamina tarti. Rather, it's coming to teach me both halachas. Look at Rashi. My paas shmamina tarti. Gzeir shava shlema limdacha kasuf. Therefore, I'll say the Gzeir Shav is complete in order to apply the halachas in both of these cases. But let's go back for a second. That's which we learned. Zikan ha'isha ba'asarisha lusear harin kizakin lechol divreihem l'may halchasa. So I'll say, remember again, let's go full circle. If that's the case, the Gemara mentioned the Brisa before, and the Brisa said that if a woman does sprout a beard, so ultimately, again, that is considered to be a beard for all purposes. So the mahilchasa. So we'll say, so now what's the halacha? So now that we've established that a woman is not subject to the laws of destroying her beard. So if a woman does have a beard and she cuts it off with a razor, she's not in violation of anything. If that is correct, so then what does the Brisa mean when it says that if a woman does sprout facial hair that is considered to be like a beard for every purpose? L'tumas nigoim. Oh, we will say it means for tumas negoim, for tzaras. Amazing. Halacha l'maisa, right? The sixth parasha. So for tzaras, look at Rashi. Tumas negoim. Rashi says, shesimani makom ser chalukim isimani arbasar. Because the halacha shabbosai, when you sprout a blemish or some type of skin discoloration, the halachas are different if that happens in a place where there's hair versus a place where there is no hair. So Rashi says, "Shesimani makom ser chaluki misimani arbasar shebenigi arbasar ksiv ser lavan obesimani niske rosh uzakan ser tzahov v'ka'amar hacha dimhalsa asher aisha ser bezikna habesimani niga kidin niske zukan." So we'll say, so the halacha is that if a woman sprouts saras in a place where she has facial hair, that is treated like a beard saras, and not like a regular fleshed saras. So the Gemara says, "Tumas negam behejik siva," but that's written explicitly. The isha kia nega berosh o bizakan. Yet the pasuk says that explicitly. It says a man or a woman when they will have a blemish, a nega, in their head or in their beard. So the Torah itself explicitly says that what? That you could have a situation of a woman who has saras in her beard. Ella Amar Marzutra Letaras Negoim. Rather, what it means to say is what? For the purposes of purification of tzaras. What's the halacha when you're purified of tzaras? It means you have to shave all of the hair on your body. What that also means is what? Is that lamaisa again, well, you have to shave your hair. You have to shave your hair, your head and your beard. So what it also means that if a woman has a beard, she will have to shave that for purification from tzaras as well. To which the Gemara says, Taras Negoim Na'im Pshita. That's obvious. Kevan de Bas Tumihi Bas Tarihi. As well said, that should be obvious. If she is subject to the laws of Tumas Saras, she's subject to the same laws of Taras Saras. To which the Gemara says, but here's the difference. It's Sachadai Tchamina Litstadim Tzir. We'll say first white line on the bottom. I would have thought that this halacha is said l'tzadim in parts. How so? Ksiv isha kia nege berosh o bizakan. The pasuk says, if a man or a woman will have a tzara as blemish in their head or in their beard, hadr asain liish. I would have thought that lemaisa, again, this zakan is only referring to a man, not referring to a woman. Kamash Malon say that this is not the case, right? Kamash Malon, that lemaisa, again, the beard of a woman is just like the beard of a man for tzara'as purposes. Isi says, Af bal yikarchu nashim pturos. So Isi, this is actually very interesting. So Isi says that a woman is also exempt from the halacha of bal yikarchu. But the halacha is that you're not permitted to make a bal, you're not permitted to pull out your hair out of mourning. So Isi ben Yehuda says, that a woman is exempt from this prohibition. If a woman wants to pull out her hair in mourning for the dead, she is permitted to do so. My time Isi. What's Isi's logic? The Darash Hachi, because he darshans the following. Banim atem la'Hashem Elokechem. Torah says you are sons to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lo tiskodedu v'lo sasimu karcha b'neinechem lameis. Do not go ahead and lo tiskodedu. We'll see what that means. V'lo tasimu karcha. Do not create a bald spot between your eyes over the dead. Kiam kadosh atah la'Hashem Elokecha. Banim v'lo banos l'karcha. Teaches us that what Rabbi said. The pasuk says. Banim v'lo banos. Pasuk says sons and not daughters. In other words, that if a woman wants to pull out her hair out of mourning, she is permitted to do so. Ata omer lekarcha o eina el legedida. Well, you're saying that only applies to making a bald spot. What about gedida? Both say gedida is a gash. So they used to go ahead. The Canaanim used to gash themselves. They used to, is that the right word? Gash themselves? Is that a verb? Yeah, they used to cut themselves out of mourning for the dead. So maybe a woman is also exempt from that. Just like you tell me they can make a bald spot. Maybe they're permitted to make a gash as well. To which the Gemara says, "Kishu Omer ki am kadosh atal Hashem Elokecha hari gedida Omer." So we'll say no, because when the pasuk says you are a holy nation unto HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that teaches me that a woman may not make a gash over mourning for the dead. Ha-mani makayim banim v'lo banos lekarcha. So therefore, again, I will say the exclusion that we learn banim v'lo banos, that refers to the bald spot. A woman can make a bald spot, pull out her hair in mourning of the dead. But when it comes to cutting herself, that she may not do. How do you know to include her in the prohibition of gashing, but to exclude her from the prohibition of making the bald spot? Because I will include the prohibition of gashing, which applies in a place where there is hair and a place where there's no hair. And I'll go ahead and exclude her from the prohibition of making the bald spot, which is only in a place where there is hair, but does not apply to in a place where there is no hair. Why don't you say that the obligation, that banim, the exclusion for women applies both by karcha, making the bald spot, as well as gedida, gashing, and maybe Rabbi say when it says you are a holy nation unto HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that comes ultimately again to obligate women in srita. Srita is scratching yourself. So if gedida is gashing, srita is scratching. Maybe a woman is just obligated, is prohibited in the scratching, but is permitted to make the bald spot, and is permitted to go ahead and gash herself. Kasavar isi srita ugedida achasi. Chazabasa isi is of the opinion that what? Srita and gedida are in fact the same thing. So bottom line, I will say, halacha l'maisa is what the Gemara teaches us is, so far we come out to is a woman is obligated, a woman is exempt from mitzvah saseh shelo azman grama. Excuse me. A woman is exempt from mitzvah shezman grama, exempt from time bound mitzvos. A woman is obligated in mitzvah saseh shelo azman grama, non-time bound mitzvos. A woman is obligated again in all prohibitions. That's the other piece, whether they are time bound or not time bound. So, for example, a woman can't eat chametz on Pesach. It's time bound. That's right, but she's obligated in all low sases, with three notable exceptions. If she's a bas kohen, she become tamei lemeis, and she's also not subject to the prohibitions of cutting off her payas, rounding out the head, as well as destroying the beard. So we'll stop over here for today. Let me share with you a short idea on the parsha.